Personal statement from Catherine Baker from Neptune, New Jersey. I have been furloughed from my job at USAID my USAID implementing partner since February 14, 2025. I have 13 years experience supporting USAID contractors in business development and recruitment efforts, mostly in conflict and post-conflict settings. The following is how I got here today. I was born in Neptune and raised there until I went to college. My father is a lifelong Neptune resident whose Jersey roots date all the way back to the early 1700s. Wow. When my Scottish ancestors came here in search of religious freedom and economic opportunity and helped build much of what is Gloucester and Mercer counties. My mother is an immigrant born in Coro, Venezuela, to refugees escaping fascism bombs and economic ruin in Spain and Sicily. Every summer, my mom and I traveled to Venezuela to see her mother, my aunts and uncles, and countless cousins. Coro, the capital of Venezuela's state, responsible for most of oil refining, sits on the Caribbean coast and is about 15 minutes plane ride from Aruba, surrounded by sand dunes. Our family friends lived in homes with dirt floors, corrugated aluminum roofs, and a hose out back you would use to shower while fending off the chickens that roamed freely. Coro is a city in constant drought. We would get water every other day, and you'd use a trash bin filled with water and a ladle to shower on your non-water days. Coro, as you could imagine, couldn't be more different from Neptune, New Jersey. I went to St. James Elementary and Red Bank Catholic High School in Red Bank from kindergarten through 12th grade. If 13 years of Catholic school teaches you anything, it's the importance of taking care of one another, especially those that are suffering from poverty, famine, and disease. I remember being given small cartons when we were tasked with filling with spare change so that we could ship them off to some faraway place where we were told stories of children just like us who were facing unimaginable hardships. I was so moved by the notion that a child, not so different from myself, didn't have enough to eat or had lost their parents in a conflict I couldn't begin to understand. My senior year at RBC, I took a class called Globalization and Social Justice. The class was taught by a longtime family friend, Mary Logan, herself a former nun. Miss Logan taught us about the Rwandan genocide and had us watch Hotel Rwanda as a class. She made sure we knew the reasons why this happened, understood how dehumanization and hatred can lead to mass torture and executions, and critiqued the international response to the genocide that led to nearly 1 million deaths in 100 days. That year, Miss Logan took us to Keene University to see Nick Kristof speak about Darfur and made sure we knew the signs of genocide when we saw it. How can we let this happen again, we asked her. I wore my Save Darfur green rubber bracelet and t-shirt everywhere I went. What could I, a kid living at the Jersey Shore, do to help? During this period of enlightenment led by Miss Logan, the Mary Knoll Missionaries funded school in Kibera, Kenya, that we were supporting was threatened by electoral violence in December of 2007. We received letters from the nuns there. We were Miss Logan's personal friends. We received letters from nuns there who were Miss Logan's personal friends about how the fires nearly reached the school and the children who were already living in Africa's largest slum stood poised to lose the little they had, including their lives. Upon returning from Christmas break, Mary Knoll Affiliates Club sprang into action. We raised awareness and funds and proudly sent money from bake sales and door knocking to our friends in Kenya. We received media attention from WCBS in New York, and our story got picked up by other channels and newspapers. I was amazed that my efforts in Monmouth County were having such meaningful and real impact on a crisis happening thousands of miles away. I was passionate about this work. I was seemingly good at it. or as good as an 18-year-old could be? Could I actually turn this into a career? Could I help even more people across the world? I'd like to think I did that. I'd like to think I did that. And I'm crying as I write this because I wonder if I ever will do it again. The past 10 years, I've focused on conflict prevention, stabilization, preventing, countering violent extremism, and citizen security in conflict or post-conflict areas. Not only did I conduct desk research and analyze problem sets from behind a desk, but I got to travel to those countries and meet with local governments, civil society organizations, and advocacy groups to hear from them about the issues and discuss solutions. I spoke with survivors of the devastating 2004 tsunami in Sri Lanka and Tamils whose fathers and brothers disappeared during the Civil War and are likely burned in unmarked graves somewhere on the island. I worked closely with a woman my age whose families fled Kosovo to the United States during the war when we were about 9 years old and returned as soon as she could to her home country to promote continued peace between Albanians and Serbs. My recent trips to Kosovo were so illuminating, not because of the pain or struggle of these people, but because of the respect and admiration and gratitude they had towards the United States of America. Anyone who has been to Pristina knows of the Bill Clinton and Bob Dole statues. I didn't know about that. As well as the Hillary Boutique. A few years ago, when I was negotiating an employment offer with a Ghanaian candidate for a USAID-funded Preventing Violent Extremism program, I couldn't meet his salary expectations. He said to me, "That's okay. I will take whatever you can give me. If the United States will make sacrifices for the people of Ghana in support of this program, I'm willing to make a sacrifice too with a pay cut." He proudly accepted the offer. The recognition of these funds could be spent elsewhere was not lost on him. Generosity and kindness are always more greatly appreciated by those who have less. All but one of my company's USAID contracts, which totaled nearly $400 million, were terminated almost overnight by DOGE. Over 80% of our Virginian-based office was laid off or furloughed. I bought my first condo last year, a milestone we all strive for, but too few people my age are able to achieve. I applied to 60 jobs in 1 month, all of which I'm qualified for. I have received 2 interview requests. This after being a sought-after professional in my industry with a strong network cultivated through years of hard work. This has ruined me. My mortgage payment isn't what makes me cry, though. It's our local staff and partners that come to mind every night as I say my prayers. My colleague, a Sudanese refugee living in Kampala, working on a terminated USAID peace-building program from Sudan, texts me every week to ask how I'm doing. He called me to make me smile because he knew I was crying. He now calls me Sad Eyes. And has made it his mission to never see tears fall from these lashes again. I obviously lie to him and say mission accomplished, but it will never be true. Not only is the United States not stronger, not safer, not more prosperous, but the beacon of our democracy grows dim across the globe. Without leadership, other countries hostile to the United States will step in and innocent people will continue dying. When I close my eyes, the specter of very real people from my travels and projects appear, and I hear the echoes of suffering they shared with me. Suffering they were sure to note was alleviated, however temporarily, by the United States of America through USAID. And wherever they could, they would thank me. Whatever they could, they would thank me and America. They would thank me and America for it. Thank you, Catherine Baker from Neptune, New Jersey. And Catherine, I see you. I see you, Catherine. I hear you. I stand for you. But I want to share something with you. One of the most extraordinary trips I've had as a United States Senator was to Chad, to go up to the border of Chad and Sudan and see the horrors. I've been to refugee camps all around the globe, but see the horrors of what was happening again in Sudan. You wore that Save Darfur t-shirt in your earlier days, but the ethnic cleansing is going on right now. I've never seen so many malnourished babies, barely able to hold up their heads, people fleeing tyranny, and they fled across the border to meet Americans, because we were there. With less than 1% of the American budget, we were there, standing for our values, our highest ideals, our faith traditions, the understanding that when we are out there making the world safer, responding to crises, not only were people seeing the help they need, but they saw the light and the beacon of this democracy. And it pains me that Chris Coons comes down here and shares the headlines from today's newspaper that in Myanmar, in this horrific earthquake, the agency that used to respond to that tragedy, that human tragedy, doesn't have the resources. America's not there. It's a void. And then Chris Coons says in the article I'm surely to read today or tomorrow whenever I can't stand anymore, he says, who fills that vacuum? Who showed up? But the PRC, China showed up. Less than 1% of our budget, less than 1% of our budget, and people like the folks I read whose whole life all they wanted to do was to be the light of the American torch of freedom and hope to the world, and they had the rug pulled out from under them. But here's what's worse, because we've had, Chris Murphy, we've had meetings with some of the people behind the scenes that are savagely cutting, and the stories are horrible. People in dangerous places that we sent there having their emails cut, having their phones turned off, pregnant women who don't know how they're going to get out of those areas. And James Mattis, as we discussed, said, if you cut these kind of programs, buy me more bullets, because there'll be more instability. There'll be more political democracies being overthrown. There'll be more terrorism. There'll be more violence. And we are old enough as a nation in 250 years to know that if we don't meet these terrors abroad, they will visit us at home. As Chuck Schumer said, I was there watching the towers come down. And in the Sahel, before I do this in Africa, that's the threat. In Togo, in Ghana, in Benin, the northern parts of the country, they're fighting terrorism. Oh, God, yes, I will. I yield for a question while retaining the floor. Chris Murphy.